Welcome to another episode of Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. It's not even late at night. The sun is still up in the sky. Why am I even inside and not in my garden? Well, the heat, mainly, and the fact that I have air conditioning has allowed me to sit at my desk and not even feel bad about it. Tonight I'm going to share with you another theme video about banknotes. And the theme I've chosen for tonight's episode is that of bridges. Bridges are architectural structures that have been one of the most useful inventions and developments of man and woman over the millennium. It is very frustrating to be heading to a destination and you're stuck because there is a raging river, a ditch, a canyon, some obstacle that is keeping you from where you want to go. And very early on, people were able to come up with a construct that allowed them to get to their destination. Whether it was just a log that they would bring over to the edge and have it fall in place, or whether it was a rope that they could go hand over hand or tightrope walk across. Nevertheless, it's a fun topic to collect, and since I do enjoy architecture, it's quite neat for me to be able to see different kinds of bridges. So tonight I've got about close to 20 notes that I want to share with you from around the world that are bridgy. And don't know the names of all of them, but if I was going to do a video on a particular one, I would certainly know things about where it's found, when it was built, what it's called in the popular local culture. But I'm very excited. I have notes from the four corners of the world. Let's get started. The first note I'm going to share with you with a bridge concept is this note of Sri Lanka. Lovely note of Sri Lanka. This is actually the face of the note. And if you take a look at the 50 rupees, you can see in the middle section, you see a couple of different kinds of bridges. You see a bridge up top using arches with a train going across it. You see down here another little bridge, and you see down here another little bridge. So kind of a triple bridge thing going. And it's actually called, I believe, the Monoptia Bridge. Lovely note, not too terribly expensive, some neat dancers and drummers on the back of it. Lovely note. The next note I'm going to show you is from Africa, and it is from the nation of Zaire, which is now the Republic of the Congo, or the Congo Democratic Republic, rather. And this is not too different from bridges you might see in certain places in the United States. And here in Oklahoma, we even have some rivers big enough that we can actually see barges like this that go up and down the river. So we have a nice suspension bridge from Zaire. Third note I'm going to show you is from South America, and it is a Paraguayan Note. And this is a simple little bridge, and it's a rural road that goes from here to there. There's some cowboys, there's some horses, there's a small shack, and there is a basic bridge over the water. And it looks to me like it might even be a wooden bridge. You can see the ends of the planks over here that go this way. I'm used to seeing these kinds of bridges because I grew up in the rural area of the United States. Lovely little note of Paraguay. I like this new note. This new note that I'm going to show you is from Bermuda. And its orientation is vertical, and it's neat in several ways. If you take a look at the serial number, that's not a prefix, that's a Bermuda Onion. Yes, the first notes of this series was not even a letter, it was an onion. This is a polymer note, or a hybrid note. There's a window, even though the note is paper. And when you look at this side of the note, you have a nice little bridge that may open up here in the middle so that tall ships can sail through. I'm not sure, but that looks more like a motorboat going through what is the Somerset Bridge. Lovely little note. Bird of paradise flower right here. Lots of things to like about this note, especially if you like onions. I have this 5,000 something. It appears to be a dinara from Yugoslavia. And I always like this guy because he looks like he could have been my grandmother's brother. That's just how much they resemble each other. But on the back we have a lovely little bridge. It's another arched bridge. Very beautiful. Let's head to Asia for our next bridgy note. And I have here a 5 dong note from North Vietnam. Although I guess with the unification of Vietnam, it would just be simply Vietnam now. But this note is from the 80s. And if you look at the back of the note, you see a lovely river scene. And you're thinking, oh, bridges with boats. Yeah, in some places in Asia and even in Egypt, you know, to get from one side of the river, all the boats would line up like this. And if you had to get to this boat, you hopped onto this one, walked through it, to this one, through it, to your destination. So I've seen boats stacked up like these to be bridges. But the bridge on this note is actually here along the horizon. You can see it right over there. In the panhandle of Oklahoma, many of the bridges which were built prior to World War II out there have this similar construct. And it was felt like they needed to have all this above holding up the bridge below. I think modern bridges have a more judicial use of material than the bridges that were built at this time. Lovely bridge note. Staying in Asia for the next note, we are moving over to Thailand, and we have a lovely 20 baht with the previous king on the face. And when you turn the note over, we have his brother, who was the elder, who was king prior to the present king. And I believe there is the present, or there is the immediate past king, and there's his brother. And his brother was named Ananda, I believe, and through an unfortunate accident was killed in the palace. Whether the person at fault was ever charged or found out is still something up for conjecture. But they have a beautiful bridge in the background. You can see it here. It's a suspension bridge. Lovely bridge. They had a similar bridge in Korea, but it's considered a beautiful bridge. And who knows, it may be a memorial bridge to this king. All the things on the back of this note seem to point to this king. We're going to move from lush Asia to Africa now, and we are moving to a country very close to Egypt. This is a Sudanese banknote, and whenever I was in Egypt, you could still buy these wraps, and many places, I still have my own that I bought. We dip it into the Nile, wring it out, and wrap it around our head, and it would cool our heads as it evaporated as we were riding in the boats on the Nile River. Very nice. I also like this scene of a bird with a snake. It makes me think of Mexico. But on the back of the note, we have this lovely, lovely scene of a bridge. And the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, how neat. It's a bridge, and it's just like rivers in Oklahoma that are dry because they dammed up the river in another state. And then I realized this is just a foreground. If you look in the middle of it, you can actually see there's water. This isn't a bridge going over a dry riverbed like you find so often here in Oklahoma. Lovely little note. Nice and red, so I have a friend in Hong Kong who would love that note. We're going back to South America with this note of Paraguay. This is a 10 guarani, and on the back of this note we have the bridge that covers the international frontier between Paraguay and Brazil. Puente Internacional. All I can think about this point is whenever I hear Puente, I think Pont. What is that song they used to sing in France? Sur le pont Avignon, on est danse, on est danse. Anyway, now you know why I'm not a singer. But bridges everywhere you look. We're moving back to Africa, but we're moving to a more tropical part of Africa. This is a Bank of Rwanda 500 franc, and it's a more recent note. There's little kids on there, a laptop for every kid. I like seeing kids on computers. I try to imagine what they're doing. I imagine they're playing, what's that game for? I forget. They're probably trying to make their little guy dance or something. But if you turn it over, we have a nice suspension bridge that appears on the back of this note. I love the color on these notes. The more color that's on a note, the more I tend to like it. We're moving to a different part of Africa for this note from St. Thomas and Prince, or Sao Tome e Principe. I don't speak Portuguese, and I barely know how to pronounce English according to some people, so Apologies extended for my butchery of this pronunciation. Lovely wildlife note on the front and on the back. Lovely little bridge. I enjoy putting together collections like this because it certainly gives me something to do whenever I choose to visit these nations. And I do really want to visit these nations and see the things that they put on their banknotes. Here's 1,000 Ariary from Madagascar. I don't really like the series of this note very well. It looks a little jumbled to me, and it looks like not too much foresight went into the planning of it. It's just not a pretty series to me. And maybe I'm comparing it unfairly to earlier series of Madagascar, which I think were phenomenal and very well designed. I do like this motif down here. And I do like that the swirls match and go across the note, but it just looks too jumbly to me. Too weird. I mean, I don't know, just too weird. But I do like the bridge, and if that motif would have been blown up and some of these little side things gone, it might have been a little bit more pleasing to my eye. But we have a nice little suspension bridge there. Love it. We're moving on back to Asia now with a lovely banknote from Singapore. This is a note that years ago came in at the coin shop that I spend time in, and it just came in for face value. Person just wanted to exchange it, and I was fine with that because it gave me a nice ship note with a lovely picture of the Benjamin Shears Bridge. I love the skyline in the background. I love the bridges, the water, and boom, there's even a dragon on the note. Couldn't have been more pleased that this note came in. Staying in Asia for this one, we have Macau from its days as a Portuguese colony. And when you look at the back of the note, another lovely skyline and bridge. I could just sit and look at bridges all day. We're staying in Asia for the next one. It's from Cambodia. Here we have King Norodom Sihanouk. I'm not even sure I'm saying his name right. He was king, then he wasn't king, then he was prime minister, then he wasn't king, then he was king again. I believe he ended up as king, and then he abdicated, and his son, who speaks fluent Czechoslovakian, if that is such a thing, or maybe just Czech, became the next king of Thailand. I do like the rendition of the king here on the right end of the note, and if you look here on the left, that is actually a snake, the head of a snake. And in many Asian countries, bridges have statues of mythical beasts that protect or guard the bridge at both ends of the bridge. I think that the bridges in Cambodia are guarded by nagas quite a bit, or snakes. There you can see the naga, the multi-headed snake, and you see it at the front of the bridge on both sides. And you see an arch bridge that can be driven over. Lovely little banknote. Let's move back to Africa for the next note. This time we're moving to Ghana, and this is one of my early Ghana notes. It's a 2000 SETI, and it has a neat theme of fishermen on the back of the note, and it looks like they're forming a bridge of their own, getting the net either on the boat or bringing it back home for repair. On the front of the note, we have a lovely section of a bridge. They were very proud in the early decades of these metal bridges, weren't they? You can find them on banknotes from around the world. Lovely little vignette of a bridge right there on the right-hand side. Let's go back to Cambodia, and we have the current king on one side. There's the Naga right there. That'll be a good theme to do someday, snakes on notes. But here we have another bridge at the back, and this one's a little bit more cartoony in rendition, but I'm sure it's of a real bridge, and on either side you can see the Naga, mythical beasts that guard the bridge or sponsor it, or, you know, are the deity for the bridge because they don't want the bridge to be destroyed. And on the other end of the bridge, there would be a pair of these statues too, as you get on it. This one's neat because it's one of the few bridges on a banknote that actually has cars on the banknote. And trucks. It's kind of a neat note. Very nice. I can't believe how interesting I find Cambodian banknotes to be. I think if you have your Krause catalog out, I would have just about all of the banknotes of modern Cambodia. And I mean ever since prior to the Khmer Rouge. This is a Chinese Jiao, or Tu Jiao. And there's a nice little bridge there, and it's from a distance, but you can see there's little vehicles and there's little people walking up and down that bridge, and there's little boats going across it. That bridge is a lot bigger than it looks on the note, that's for sure. Very nice. It may even be a double-decker bridge, which also Iraq has one, but I don't have it in this assortment. But there are several countries that have double-decker bridges that appear on their notes. This is kind of a dirty note, but I don't always have an expectation of pristine for my collection. If I'm somewhere and I don't have a note, I'll take a bad note and then someday replace it with a nice one and have a little present that I can pass on to somebody. One of my favorite bridges I don't actually have on a banknote. It's I believe a Scottish note, and it actually shows a kind of lock that looks like a big circle, and a boat can float onto the lock, and then it will just float the boat up to the higher level, and then it'll continue going. I don't know if that's really a bridge, but in a way it's connecting a lower water feature with a higher water feature. So I hope someday to get that note and I can share it with you in a video. The final note I'm going to share with you is from Indonesia, and it's from one of their earlier series, and it has a very unusual boat, or a very unusual bridge. I'm quite used to seeing a drawbridge where the bridge is like this, and then on one side it'll go up like that, and a big boat can go underneath. Or there's the bridges that meet like this, and then they go up like that so that a boat can go underneath, and then they come back down. This bridge has a bridge that, instead of going up like that, the bridge just goes up like that. The boat floats underneath it, and then the bridge comes right back down, and then the traffic resumes. Kind of a neat bridge, unique in the at least in the banknotes that I have in their depiction of bridges. There are so many neat bridges from around the world that I couldn't begin to collect all of them. I probably have barely 10% of the bridges that are available on banknotes from around the world. Absolutely lovely designs. They feed my thirst for math and my quest for beauty in architecture. I hope that you've enjoyed me sharing my bridge banknotes with you, and I hope that you will like the video, comment the video, and share it. This has been Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a great week. Try to stay cool because it's pretty hot here in Oklahoma. Have a good day. Bye.